Today's February 24th, and our readings are a reminder to slow down. Get honest about what's really urgent and come back to your center. We'll talk about the nervous system, the way religion can keep us in hustle and spiritual bypassing, and how to choose intention over pressure, one breath at a time.
Hi, I'm Candy, and I'm a mind-body coach. I also use hypnotherapy, and I am deconstructing from evangelical Christianity. And I know how mindset shapes our behavior. So in this series, I'm going to share my daily reflections from 3 different devotionals. The Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo, and that one's a little more spiritual, non-religious. Also, Jesus Calling by Sarah Young, which is a very modern Christian approach. And My Utmost for His Highest by Oswald Chambers, which is a very classic Christian angle. My goal is to help you see how each one of these devotionals or these day books might shape your mindset a little differently. And if you're into that kind of reflection, please like and follow for more. Let's get started.
For February 24th in the Book of Awakening, the theme is behind the urgency, and the quote at the top is, "When feeling urgent, you must slow down." So the quote that I pulled from today's reading is, "Unless someone is bleeding or can't breathe, unless there is some true physical requirement to act swiftly, a sense of urgency is a terrible illusion, a trick that happens again and again, because life inside our skin and outside our skin are forever different." And he says he learned this lesson over and over during a lot of crisis he had with cancer. And basically, he's saying that when you feel that sense of urgency and it's not like a true physical requirement to act swiftly, that you need to slow down. When things feel urgent, cut the strings to all events. Like when you feel this constant pressure, like you need to do, like almost FOMO, I guess we would say today, that fear of missing out. I felt that before. I felt like I need to be doing something. I need to, and so relaxing was very difficult for me. And I don't know if this comes from evangelical Christianity. I don't know where it came from for me. I do have ADHD. I have a family of people with ADHD. I'm not sure where it comes from, to be honest. But I've felt that it has been very difficult for me to slow down sometimes. And I married a man who he knows how to just relax. When it's time to relax, it's time to relax. And that's created a safe environment for me to practice that. And that has helped. But we don't always have that privilege, right? So we have to learn this and create our own safe place, which in a way I did. I chose a man that would do that. But if you don't have that, you have to create that time. And I still have to intentionally create that time. I still have the tendency to want to just move and get going. And I need to, I should, the I shoulds, in the background, that run in the background of the mind. And then just pausing and giving myself a chance to take a breath and not neglecting those things that slow me down. Just noticing. Maybe even this morning I was sitting and eating breakfast and I was just listening to the ceiling fan in the kitchen. And it gave me a nostalgic feeling a little bit. And I just allowed myself to close my eyes. The window was open because the weather's really nice right now, even though it's February. And it was just such a peaceful moment, a moment where I was almost taken back in time, but I was very present at the same time. And even right now, I can easily take myself back there. And it just slows everything, calms the nervous system. And that's a beautiful message I think we all need to hear in this day and age when everything's hustle, hustle, hustle. Slow down. Take a breath. I need this reminder today. In Jesus Calling today, the message is about, well, let's just talk about the quote that I pulled, a couple quotes. "But there is no limit to my," meaning Jesus, "love. It fills all of space, time, and eternity. And also, if you were to experience that now, you would be overwhelmed to the point of feeling crushed. But you have an eternity ahead of you, absolutely guaranteed, during which you can enjoy my presence in unrestricted ecstasy. Now, why he would withhold you experiencing his love, and the reasoning that Sarah Young gives is that you would be overwhelmed to the point of feeling crushed. This is not really actually anything that's in the Bible. This has got to be her, kind of, this is her interpretation. But it also made me think, okay, so just knowing it, the last line in the reading is, for now, the knowledge of my loving presence is sufficient to carry you through each day. So just knowing he's there, even though you may not feel loved, maybe you're not experiencing the love of God. And I do not think that it is something that you have to wait for. I think we have waves of it once in a while. We might feel this wave of feeling loved, and it doesn't necessarily come through. Like, it doesn't come through. It can come from anywhere. It can be from another human. Feeling loved by someone is such a good feeling. And it is kind of ecstasy. It is a feeling of ecstasy when you feel loved and seen as you truly are. And just this promise that, oh, you'll get it in heaven where it will be unrestricted. First of all, that idea of heaven in evangelical Christianity is kind of gross to me. You need the contrast. In order to feel unrestricted ecstasy, you have to be able to also feel the opposite of that. And if eternity, I mean, forever, think about that, no end, where you're just constantly feeling it, you'd almost become numb to it. It would just become the norm, and it would not be ecstasy any longer. And I know some people say, well, God will make it feel that way. Well, there's a reason there's contrast. There's a reason that we have that in this world, and not because of sin. It's a way of understanding what ecstasy feels like. You have to understand what the opposite of ecstasy feels like. So, where I do like the verse where there's no limit to my love, it fills all space and eternity. I mean, that's one of the reasons I deconstructed, or I felt safe to begin to follow my curiosity about what the Bible was actually saying, or if it was different than what I had been taught, was because I knew that God's love would go with me wherever I went. But then I was told it didn't go there. You had to stay within the belief system in order for it to be there. So there's a contradiction in Christianity by at least the Christians I was around, and a lot of them that I've met, even not in person, but online. This is a common thing. They would tell us that we were never Christians if we deconstruct from it. And so God's love isn't with you in those spaces, or he may love you, but he's still going to punish you for eternity, which goes against also another scripture verse that says love keeps no record of wrongs. And she actually puts 1 Corinthians 13:12 at the bottom of this page, which is right where that love keeps no record of wrongs. It's right around in that area. So this kind of goes against the Christianity that I was taught. But also, at the same time, you're supposed to hold that God's love is unconditional. There's no way to lose it. And then also, but you can't experience that love right now. So you got to wait till heaven. So the misery and stuff you just kind of put up with, and you don't even look for solutions necessarily to the problems, because you're waiting for Jesus to come rescue the whole thing by ending the planet and starting anew. And to me, that's just kind of an escapism. And I lived it for many years. I don't think it's healthy. I think it also keeps you from doing what the Book of Awakening and being in that space of rest is constantly a do more to please God, do more to, even though that's not what they're saying, but these messages kind of clash in my mind for some reason. Can't quite put my finger on it, but it feels like a clash. There's this sense of hurry up and wait, I guess, like do all the things, make sure you're spending time with Jesus. And it's like a thing you check off. It's not something that I really was like, this is my safe space. It was something I had to do instead of like, God, this lets me relax. Lets me be. It was constantly showing and proving that I love God by, being able to be diligent to spend time in his word, pray, acknowledge him in every single thing always, And it was more exhausting than anything, in my opinion. So that's kind of all I have to say on that one today. And finally, for my utmost for his highest, the title is The Delight of Sacrifice. And the quote that I pulled is, once the love of God has been poured out in our hearts by the Holy Spirit, we deliberately begin to identify ourselves with Jesus Christ's interests and purpose in others' lives. I have a little bit of a problem with this one, but continuing on, another quote is, we have no right in Christian service to be guided by our own interests and desires. And in some way, this creates a lot of problems, okay? Because first of all, Christ's interests and purpose get interpreted per religion or section of Christianity, or like what sect you're in, or how you interpret it, right? Or your leaders interpret it and then feed it to you. So Christian service is guided by really your leaders' interests and desires and what they say God's interests and desires are, or your interpretation. And now you're meddling in everybody's lives. You want Jesus Christ's interest and purpose in others' lives. So if I think Jesus Christ's purpose in other people's lives is that they believe in my religion and then they'll be saved, well, then I'm going to go out and I'm going to push, and I might even legislate my religion, because that'll be good for them. They'll be going in the right direction then, right? Because that's what's most important. And this causes all sorts of problems because, first of all, you do not know for sure that you have the right God, if there is one. You do not know for sure if your interpretation of that God is correct, and you're legislating and forcing others to obey. I would almost rather they would do their own interests and desires, even though, rather than their interpretation of Jesus's interests and desires. If you would just pursue your own interests and desires, you like to, golf, go golf. If you like to build things with your hands, go build things with your hands. Follow your hobbies, follow the things that are of interest to you. But they don't do that because they're told that they cannot do that. And when I say they, I'm referring to the type of Christian I grew up with. It was like a fundamentalist Christian. Their whole goal in life is to preach their version of Jesus and to make sure as many people believe it as possible. And they are adamant about it. So much so that they get to the point of legislating for it, pushing for legislation on their beliefs so that everybody is forced to do so, because they think that is the way to love others and the way to love their God, mostly love their God. And it is a God made in their own image. Make no mistake, it is. It's their interpretation of who that God is. And that causes a lot of problems. So that mindset has gotten us to where we are today. A lot of that. Just interpreting it that way. Whether Oswald Chambers meant it that way or not, I do not know. But I do know that is one way, at least, it gets interpreted. So there's your 3 books, your 3 mindsets that could be shaped for the day. And I'm going to take a moment, lots of moments today, throughout the day. I have a very busy day, but I'm going to focus. I'll slow down. I'm going to let go of the things that are just pushing, that are not necessary, that I feel an inward push on. And I'm going to listen to my own nervous system, to my own intuition, and allow myself to intentionally, to guide myself intentionally rather than being pushed along. I hope you take some time to take a breath today too. Have a great day. Remember, you get to decide what you devote your thinking to today. You might not be able to control every thought that comes in, but you can definitely decide what you entertain. And whether it comes from something I've said today or something completely different, choose wisely and set an intention that truly benefits you and those around you. And if you found any value here today, don't forget to like and follow. Thank you for joining me on this journey. And let's keep our minds on what helps us love ourselves and each other a little bit better every day.